Hello everyone, this is Dr. Anastasia Chopelas, and this is another episode of Scientific Healing. And in today's episode, I'm going to talk about overcoming dysfunctional behavior, like ways what dysfunctional behavior is, and ways that you can start healing from it, especially from an energetic perspective. This because even though my family wasn't as dysfunctional as many of them, it still was problematic and we still had issues to cope with. So I recognize a lot of the behaviors that are happening. And that includes, feeling ashamed or guilty all the time, this overwhelming feeling of wrongness. And it took until I met a friend of mine who made fun of her, something that was actually, to me, would have been utterly embarrassing, and I would have wanted to sink into the ground. And that was kind of like the first step of digging out of the hole. And some of the other dysfunctional behaviors, and dysfunctional means that you've grown up with a lot of trauma in your family. So trauma could be verbal abuse, shaming, telling that you're wrong all the time, having you feel guilty. It could be physical abuse. It could be neglect. It could be a situation where a parent is absent all the time, or both parents are absent all the time, or even that your parents getting divorced, separated, or one of them being widowed. And this is a way, your coping behaviors. And so let me just iterate what those coping behaviors are in just a moment. But the coping behaviors are there to help you feel safe. And a lot of times we carry these coping behaviors into adulthood, and they're not serving us anymore. And I remember I struggled for a very long time. I went into therapy the first time when I was like 23. And I had just been married for a couple of years. And yes, I got married for the first time very, very young. And I'd just been married for a couple of years, and it just wasn't working out. And nobody could figure out why, because I never shared. Even in the therapy, I did not share. I kept it to myself. So that's coping behavior number one, is to not be open enough or trusting enough to be able to share what's happening with you. Or even, do you want to do this or you do want to do that? And you were not able to answer yes or no, or I want to do it or I don't want to do it, because you're afraid that somebody's not going to like it. And that part is really difficult, to be able to feel safe, to be able to say no. And so you end up saying yes a lot. So that's behavior number one, is by keeping quiet. And behavior number two is to not trust anyone. Like, just a complete matter of distrusting everybody and everything else. So, well, why? So your parents tell you that they love you, or they are supposed to be taking care of you and nurturing you and giving you a safe environment to live in. And what happens is that those very same people that are supposedly caring for you are also doing something that you interpret as abusive. And that, so let's back up. So any person that is not living what they feel on the inside, on the outside, not able to express themselves, what's going on inside, outside, there's a disconnect between your behavior and your feelings, your behavior and your needs, your behavior and your wants. So that's dysfunctional, right? So the first is keeping quiet. The second is not trusting, so you can't answer truthfully, and saying the truth is very, very, very difficult. And the third behavior, so the second behavior in terms of distrust, and then the third behavior is going numb. And I even remember the day that I swore I was never going to get hurt again by what was going on. I was maybe 13, 14, and I was standing up in my bedroom and I was reading the Bible. And I just thought, I don't want to be feeling those feelings. And I pushed them back down inside, and I just kept them pushed down, and I grew number and number and number as time went on, and it was very difficult for me to be able to even express or know what my feelings were. So those are the three predominant behaviors that really hurt you, because first of all, people can never get to know you. So finding love in your life is very difficult because you can't be honest with the person. And if you are running a business or you are trying to be an employee somewhere, you'll keep getting passed up, right? They won't recognize you. They won't see you because you're not being open. You're not expressing your opinions because it doesn't feel safe to do so. You grew up with that. And so your happiness and your feelings of well-being and even your wealth can be affected by this kind of dysfunctional behavior, this lack of congruency with what's going on inside with what's going on outside. So the good news is that you don't have to go through years of therapy like I did to be able to overcome all of that. So the good news is that we now have all kinds of techniques, including energy healing. So let's just stand up, sit up straight, take some nice deep breaths, and start to feel your own body in the moment, like not thinking about the past and not thinking about the future, but feel your own body in the moment. Take some nice deep breaths and feel that air going all the way down to your fingers and toes. And just by doing that one little step, that can really, especially oxygenating yourself and getting in the moment, because now you can ask yourself, am I safe right now? Am I warm with clothes? Do I have a place to live? Am I well fed? And if that's the answer, then you are safe. And then everything else is up to you. So one of the important things to do when you are coming from a dysfunctional family is that you don't have any boundaries. So that means that your behavior is dictated by somebody else. So the way I describe boundaries is, for example, if you had some money in your pocket, a lack of boundary would be if you allowed somebody else to reach in your pocket and decide how you are going to spend your money. That's like way out of bounds. It's them minding your business. So by setting boundaries and being able to say no, which is really difficult when you are silent, not able to express yourself, that's really difficult to say no, because your fear is everybody's going to go away and now you're going to be all alone and you won't have the support. And the interesting thing is, once you start practicing saying no to little things and noticing what happens, and I'll tell you a little story of what happened with my daughter. So she wanted people to like her in school because her father was an alcoholic, and there were things that were inconsistent. So that's one of the things that happens in a household where there's dysfunctionality, is that there's an inconsistency. So you never know when you're stepping in the door, am I going to get yelled at for something that I don't even know that I did? Or is everything going to be hunky-dory, right? So she was in that situation, and that was before I got past this dysfunctional behavior, which happened when I turned 40, when I got very, very sick, right? So I had to find my way out, which is why I'm now healing. So when she was little, she wanted everybody to like her, and all the kids would have these sticker books. So they would have sticker collections. And so we'd go places, and every time we went places, we'd find her some really nice stickers. And they were the shiny ones with rainbows and unicorns, the things little girls really love to have. And then she'd come home with really ugly stickers. And I go, well, what happened? She says, well, so-and-so wanted that sticker. And then I was afraid to not give it to her because I was afraid she wasn't going to like me. And so I said, okay, so here's a sticker. And so when somebody asks, can I have that sticker? Because you really like it, right? She says, yes. And I said, someone asks, can I have that sticker? You say, no, I want to keep it. And see what happens. So she did that. And the other girl said, okay. And that was the end of that. And then they continued to play as friends. So that fear, those fears that we have of being rejected when we're not silent, of being rejected or of somebody breaching our trust, and finally of being able to feel your feelings. It's going to get tough at first, but it gets easier as time goes on. Of feeling your feelings, you will see that all of that dysfunctional behavior was unnecessary, and it frees you. So the first thing is that the great thing about energy healing is that you can short circuit. You can jump ahead of the class by helping release those old emotions and emotional baggage. So the emotional baggage that you have from relationships, for example, is to clear out that emotional, energetic, behavioral connection with those people. So in my case, I needed to clear out my mom. And because my daughter is almost exact carbon copy of my mom in her behavior, I also cleared my daughter. And that was after she was in her 20s. And what was really great about it is that our relationships, it's not that you want to get rid of the people, it's that you want to be on a different footing with them. And so this healing, which is shown in the link right there, scientifichealer.com/relationship, that's the first step. Those are 3 out of the 14 steps that it takes to clean up all your old relationships. So what this one does is it cuts the cords, it rewrites the contracts and agreements, and it helps clean up the karma. So I invite you to listen to it and, opt in and listen to it. And I will be shortly releasing the rest of the healings in a nice little package. And I look forward to connecting with you. So the other thing is, if you go to scientifichealer.com and you download the Wake Up Your Brain audio or the other one called Powerful Healing audio, it does all of especially the Powerful Healing audio, which you'll find on my blog pages. What that does is it does all the energy hygiene for you right away. And it helps release the main emotions, the sorrow, the guilt, the low energy emotions, the anger, the rage. Because, so many times we felt this rage and then we weren't allowed to feel. I got punished for getting angry. Like if my mom treated me unfairly, because I'm the oldest and she would blame me for everything, right? So she would treat me unfairly and then I would get outraged and then she would say, how dare you get mad at me? And then I'd get another punishment. So that's one thing I never did to my kids. If my son was mad at me and he was stomping away and calling me a stupid cow, which is a German insult, and saying all kinds of things, they go, you let him do that? I go, yeah, he's allowed to express his anger, just not directed at me, right? So there are ways to release all of those emotions that are locked up in our body. And those old emotions that are locked up there, they will sensitize you. So if you have a lot of anger stored up, then little tiny things that don't bother other people will trigger you and push your buttons to move into that angry state. So by doing this energy hygiene, which I do every day, by doing the energy hygiene, it helps clean that old emotional baggage that you're carrying up, and it helps you be able to react appropriately to a situation. Be sure to download the little audio. It's an actual healing with 40 people on the line, and a lot of energy was being moved during that healing. So thank you so much. Thank you so much for listening. Please give it some thumbs up or 5-star love. If this has helped you or you think that it will help someone else, please share it with your friends and your family, and be sure to subscribe to my channel. I look forward to seeing you next week, same time, same place.